listening to the Mondays with Midger podcast, founder and CEO of Legal Leadership, a company specialising in the leadership training and coaching of lawyers. Get set to jumpstart your week with a shot of mojo as Midger and her guests talk all things life, love and leadership.
Hey, it's Monday and I'm Midger and welcome to the podcast all about life, love and leadership. I have a very special guest in the studio today with us, Lauren Dare. She's got that giggling, like nervous giggle.
Oh, I'm anxious. What will you say?
I know. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren. Great to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much for having us. We're very excited, albeit, little bit scared.
That's okay. Now I
You're a wild cat, you know?
I have to start with something that really pisses me off about you.
Oh, yes, please. Let's go there.
Let's just go
just a sucker
straight in.
punch to start the day.
I know this is good. Now, when I start my day, if I'm heading to work, okay, so I get up, I shower, do my hair, blow dry, put my makeup on. Okay, get dressed. By about 10 or 10:30. I must put my hands on my chin when I'm thinking, and like there's from the nose down, no makeup left by 10:30. Hair disheveled, it's lost its bounce, it's flat as a tack. My clothes are scrunchy, I'm sweating in them. Like by 10:30, 11, no longer fresh. Right. You, my friend, for as long as I've known you, any time of day, no matter what has gone on. Fresh as a daisy, and I'm envious, I'm jealous.
We all have different priorities, to be honest, and mine is to be ready for a party at any given moment, and so I need to be fresh at all times, and so I take my opportunities to freshen up throughout the day, so if someone says, hey, let's go do something that's a little more fun, or let's go and do something, I am there, and I am ready, and I'm set for that little magical outing, and you've got to work with what you've got. And what I've got is an excellent blow dryer and wonderful set of makeup brushes, and they're my tools of trade.
Well, I'm envious of it. I am also always ready for a party, but I don't look like that though for the party.
The attitude's there though?
The party attitude is there.
Okay, that's good. That's strong. We can work with that.
I'll bring the attitude.
I'll bring the boa, and then together we'll have a good time. Done.
Absolutely. So, Laura, maybe we should start with exactly what you do.
Oh, sure.
That would be good, just from a context point of view.
Context is important. Look, so I am a reformed lawyer.
Like me.
Yes. We just came over to the brighter side. I am a legal recruiter now, so I own an agency called Dare. And the cheesy catchphrase is we get better jobs for great lawyers. And that is essentially what we do. We work with law firms, the legal tech industry, new law and in-house corporate counsel teams and fill their vacancies for lawyers or support staff or even ex-lawyers. I'm finding more and more lawyers, we're transitioning them into quasi-legal roles.
Yes.
So a lot of lawyers are looking for something a little different, and I think the world has finally taken a breath and realised how special lawyers are and what those skills really mean to commerce and how we can utilise them inside the legal industry but also outside of it. So it's really quite diverse in terms of the types of lawyers that we're dealing with and the types of roles we have, but essentially lawyers all day long, getting them jobs.
Excellent. And I agree. So many people ask me around, like, what else can I do with my law degree? Like, I've been a lawyer for this long. I no longer want to practice. What to next? You know, can I start a podcast, write a book, or just look like you're gallivanting around the countryside? I do more than gallivanting, but a lot of people think.
It's quite a lot of gallivanting, though. You may do more, but you also do a lot of gallivanting. And I think that, as the same for me, after 8 years in practice, I decided that it wasn't the right fit for me for my future, how I pictured all of the sort of my life sort of integrating with work. And I have a very clear vision about the integration of work and life rather than this concept of work-life balance, which is kind of the the phrase, I felt I'm very uncomfortable about that. I wanted to have a life where there was just complete flow. And it was just my life, period. It wasn't work and then home and then kids and then wife duties, etc. It was just, this was my life. And I think that's what I was interested in creating, and that's what drove me to be in our business.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel kind of the same way, is that I work, play, everything. It's just all one beautiful mess, muddled up. And yeah, this weekend I'm away, for a conference and I'm speaking at it. But I mean, it's technically work and it's on a weekend. I don't mind.
No.
Right? It doesn't matter when I work, where I work, and if we can mix some play in with it.
I think it's interesting because partly that used to be, oh, well, if you love your job, then it doesn't feel like work. Well, I'm not sure that's entirely the full picture. I think, yes, you have to love your work. If you don't want it to feel draining and exhausting and you want it to be energizing, then you have to love what you do. But if, in terms of having a true flow where you're not even sort of conceptualizing that going to a conference is about making money, which is ultimately why you go to work in at least a big part of that motivation. That comes from a place of understanding that work can be done in lots of different ways at lots of different times, and that traditional model isn't necessarily for everyone, and trying to separate it or compartmentalize your life is actually in part quite unachievable, and you just feel like you're failing when you're unable to do that. So you're like, oh, I'm not with my kids on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, can you just pull them out of school one day, or can you pick them up early and then you go to Dream World at 3:00 in the afternoon? You can do that on a Tuesday. And so, yeah, it's really about, for me, and I think now for more and more lawyers, they're looking for opportunities to, I guess, have a more compatible lifestyle, and whether or not they can do that in the law. I mean, we're still...
that's what I was going to ask you is, if you look at, if you want to practice law and you want to be an employed lawyer, in a firm, how do you think you achieve that? And do you think law firm owners and law firm leaders are ready to embrace that and allow that to kind of happen?
I think there's no better industry suited to this model, but there's a greater industry who is more resistant to the model. Right. And we're suited to it because our accountabilities are very, very clear. So because of the invention of the 6-minute unit, and accounting for our time and being very much numbers focused in relation to our time, we have that accountability there. It is very, very clear from an employer perspective if the employees have been taking the piss. Can I say that? Yep, good, taking the piss. Or if they have been head down, bum up. It just comes out in the wash. It's very, very straightforward to check. And so really we have an opportunity to be able to say, so long as you meet these accountabilities, which are so clear, then yes, we should be able to accommodate a more sort of holistic existence. There are, of course, other aspects of the law that would need to be reimagined if we are to move to a true flexible model. And some of that is around culture. And the other reasons people are coming to the workplace and like knowing that their friends will be there too from 9 to 5, and that's their time with their people.
They can have their coffee.
They can do their thing. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that people will always want to be in the office by and large a big portion of the population. The novelty has a little bit worn off of the around sort of completely working from home. Yeah, and now I think a hybrid or an ad hoc or true flexibility is sort of the goals. And I think it can be achieved in the law, but it's going to be a slow burn. And we're going to see some early adopters, and we're going to see some, Lauren, never talk to me about this again. It's not something we'll offer. And then in 5 years, we'll have the conversation again, and it will be, all right, okay, I'm here. But I think we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously through your career and through what you do now, you would have experienced lots of different types of leadership and many different leaders. We have a bit of a segment. Well, we do not a bit of a segment. We do have a segment where we talk about leadership. So the shittiest things we have seen in leadership. Now, sometimes, Lauren, it is a bit of a confessional of something maybe you have done as a leader. So maybe a little on that.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
want to confess to something.
I've got some things.
But then also from just like kind of looking from the outside in.
Yep.
Kind of what you're seeing that's not working from a leadership style perspective. So confessional time first for you.
Okay, confessional for me first. So I took over as managing director of Dare at the beginning of last year. So I've been in the role as MD for 12 months. Now, it was traditionally managed, and that position was held by my husband, Anthony, who is an exceptional recruiter, and we share the same skill set in that we're both lawyers, ex-lawyers, reformed lawyers, and now recruiting. And I had sat in the background of this business by and large while I had children, etc., and while I was still practicing law. And so when I came into this seat, over COVID rather, he decided that, no, look, we need to probably diversify. Obviously, recruitment died in the arse when COVID was announced. So we decided to diversify into a whole nother industry called law and start a law firm. And so he decided he was going to do that and I was going to come back into the business. And originally the plan was for me to sort of babysit a little bit our staff, get them going, manage them. And then I got in there and I was like from day one at the desk, completely hooked like a crack addict on recruitment, and there was no way I was doing anything else for the rest of my life. And so quickly I was guns blazing.
Right.
But in it, what I thought was coming across as excitement and passion and enthusiasm and like, couldn't we do this and couldn't we do that? And like, hey, how about we just tear this shit down and rebuild it and it's going to be so sexy. And like everyone was like, who the hell is this chick? What is she doing? And one of the greatest examples I had of that, and it's really around obviously change management, I just came in like a complete cyclone and they had Anthony who was exceptionally measured, very technically focused, and I was like, nah, let's change this up, and had a very different energy. And one day I'd had this like what I thought was just this crystallization of a plan that was going to just shoot us into the stratosphere. So I'd like not slept, so excited. I'd come in and done this huge big map on a whiteboard.
Oh.
Right, very excited, like waiting for everyone to get to our meeting at 8:30. And I've tilted the whiteboard on a side. So if you can imagine it's on, so no one can actually see what's on it. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have this like big reveal. It was like having a curtain. That was like what I had pictured. And
is it like trumpet?
Yes, right.
Music
and I'm expecting
lights.
everyone to be like, oh, what's she going to say? Like, you know. And I go in and I'm like, start this meeting, and we go through a little bit of stuff. And I was like, well, I'm sure you're all so just bursting to know what's on this whiteboard. And I flip it over, and it was just crickets. And I'm like explaining, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And so this is what we're going to do. And we're going to go on socials. And you know that TikTok thing, we're going to do that. And you're going to be dancing and singing in no time. And everyone was just like, it went from crickets to disdain.
Right.
And anger and then tears. And actually that was also kind of my own set of emotions that were really about disappointment. It was like, as a leader, I felt super disappointed. My team was not on this journey with me, and aren't they so excited? And then you've had this reaction, how deflating for me as a person. So I went a little bit inward on that.
Sure.
And then, but they then were on their own journey of the anger, rage, tears, and so on. And so having to sort of counsel them through that when I was clearly like disappointed myself, and ultimately, yeah, that was an epic fail. But what I learnt about it, and it actually took me a little bit of time, was they had anxiety building that whole meeting with that board just tilted the wrong way. People actually don't like surprises. Surprise! Don't like surprises. So they said, and when I sort of debriefed with one of our more senior staff, who was actually one of the most resistant, she said to me, if you just didn't put it on tilt, if you just didn't build my anxiety for half an hour before this reveal, and then it was about something that actually was quite anxiety inducing. The idea of being on socials was stressful to me. I've never done that. I don't even post a lot personally. So
But you're out there going, TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm out there. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So that was a massive fail, and she gave me that feedback, and it took me honestly a little while to process it, and it was a really big lesson in like a kapow moment in the face where like change management was something. Change, even if it's for the good and for the better, and you can believe in it, and you can even be right, but it doesn't matter.
No.
If you're right, if no, you're not bringing them with
one's
you.
going to follow you.
No,
on
because
that
I can't
vision.
do that myself.
Yep.
My vision didn't work without everybody being as excited about it. And so I didn't bring them on that journey. So my change management was absolute crapola, but lesson learned. And now if I say, I've got a really exciting new project, it's about socials. And so we do a lot of signposting now ahead of any kind of announcements. And I tend to still be a little bit of an announcement person. I still fight that urge, but I try and signpost a little bit. And I think they've
warm the audience a little bit, warm them up. And it sort of reminds me a little bit, I know one of my favourite leadership book is Liz Wiseman's Multipliers. And she talks about diminishing behaviours of leaders, which are unintentional. But I remember when I first heard Liz talk about these diminishing behaviours, I was sitting in the audience. And she's talking about things like being an optimist and like an energizer and positivity, and how it can be quite diminishing. And I'm sitting there, and it was just this, like the penny dropped that my cheerleading style of leadership, my wet your pants excitement, whoa!
which you think is your magic sauce, your special sauce. That's what you thought was
the
great
woo-woo
about you as a leader.
Yeah, the woo-woo leader, because I'm a woo-woo girl. And I was like, this is why some people in my team give me a certain look of this. They roll, the eyes go to this, they're like, here goes Midger again, excited about something. And I could never, because I just think, well, what am I supposed to do here? Like, I'm being positive, I'm being optimistic, I'm bringing energy. And then I realized, at certain times that can actually be diminishing as a leader. And it was really a moment.
And I think part of that diminishing can really be amplified too in circumstances where if you are a newly appointed leader and some of your team has actually been doing the job for much longer than you, pretty successfully without you.
Yes.
And so when you say we're going to do something differently, what they actually hear, I think, is what you've been doing is wrong or shit or less than, and what we're doing now that I'm here and I can see all the terrible things that you've been doing for the last 5 years, I'm gonna hear and I'm gonna save you, and this is the better way, this is the light, and what you've been doing is lesser. And so I think that's sometimes how it's received. And I think that innovation and change in general can have that perception. And people go into themselves and it feels like a criticism about the way that they do it. And it's really not. It's about, I think if you have a innovation mindset or a trailblazer mindset, it is just kind of who you are, and you are interested in best practice, and you are interested in constantly iterating, not because you like disruption and being a disruptor. That doesn't sit well with me at all. It might be the consequence, but it's not the why. The why is about, isn't this such a wonderful thing we're doing in this business? Aren't we? Let's give our clients, our candidates, the best experience. How can we do that? Oh, I've had an idea about that, and let's explore it. And it's always, I think, when it comes from a pure place of innovation for the right why, not to just disrupt or be disruptive, then so you just got to be careful of that backlash, I think, about that diminishing belief.
And so talking to leaders now in the industry, what are they looking for in their people? You know, if they're looking to recruit, and I know it might be different for different roles, and obviously different organisations have different cultures, but what's kind of on the list now around what traits, attributes, behaviours, mindset, all that kind of stuff? What are leaders looking for? people that
I
wanna
mean,
get in
what
the
I want
firms.
leaders to be looking for, and because if we're moving towards some model of flexibility, if we're moving to some kind of autonomy in the way in which even more junior lawyers practice, then the trait in which we should be hiring on should be trust. Because the skills can be developed. We have the technology and the systems to develop skills. But if you don't trust them, then you won't trust them at home, but you equally probably won't trust them in the office. So I think trust is now a fundamental criteria, and we talk about that a lot in terms of traits that leaders are seeking, and something that we are encouraging people to employ on. And I think some of the older partners who have got, say, 5 to 7 years left of their practice or less, they're not interested in, not interested in learning a new way. They're interested in someone getting all of their knowledge. And so what we're finding is that sort of knowledge harvesting piece has become incredibly important. And so some of the older leaders or people who are looking at retiring or exiting are looking for knowledge thirsty candidates, knowledge thirsty lawyers who want to come in and just kind of absorb it and then kind of have the crown put on their head. But there seems to be a perception that lawyers somehow want to find a shortcut around getting to partner or getting to whatever the goal is. And I actually have to say I probably disagree with that. Lawyers aren't looking for shortcuts. They've just got options now. And so what feels like, they don't want to come and work in this, in big law or whatever, is not, it's not because they're lazy and don't want to do 7 or 7.5 billables a day. They've just got other options that seem a little sexier. And who isn't going to choose sexier if that's what's put in front of them? So yeah, I think there's...
So we've got to make some of those roles sexier.
Oh, we've got to bring sexy back. And I recently I was invited to a partners retreat, which is happening more and more. I'm sure, though, that once the word spreads about this one, it'll all come to a crashing halt. But I went in and I started by singing "We're Bringing Sexy Back."
Yeah.
So, and really that is because in some parts the brand was a little on the nose, and totally embedded in the history of the law. And that is appealing to a certain type of candidate, but that candidate pool is now shrinking with every graduate year, okay? And so when we've already got a candidate shortage in law and many other professional services in this country, when we already have a candidate shortage and you've already got a niche market of kind of like old school traditional right people, and that's your traditional market, and then you want to shrink it again by like not even a little bit meeting the market, then you're just going to die and you're no longer sexy, and you could only get a girlfriend, so to speak, by dating in the dark, and that's not a healthy way to start a relationship.
I know that, Lauren. I know that. Okay, wow, yep. I actually came into a keynote once. No, it wasn't a keynote. It was a great debate at an ALA conference to bringing sexy back.
Oh, I knew we were aligned.
I went
meeting of the minds.
I danced down the centre of that. Was that the old Century Cove Intercontinental?
Oh,
it was a conference there.
Okay.
And a great debate.
Yeah.
And it was something lawyers are sexier than something. I don't know what the debate was about, but
I would have paid to see that.
I danced down. It was fun. It was fun. And I love that sexy. And I love Richard Branson. He talks a lot about, creating, a sexy brand, a sexy business. And he just talks about it in a way that people want to be involved in it.
It's attractive. It's another word for attractive.
It's just
and
like,
you
I
could
wanna be
make it less
involved.
creepy if you don't use the word sexy, and we can say attractive. That's just not as good a bite, is it?
Yeah.
So let's use the word sexy just on the basis of
Absolutely.
bite factor. But what employers now need to look at when we talk about sexy or attractive is building out a robust and agile attraction strategy. And that's not only attracting talent outside of the firm inwards in lateral hires and graduates, but also to just keep their current staff attracted to them.
Yes,
You know,
let's keep
like,
who
keep
we've
it
got.
fresh. You know, let's invest in the relationships that are already there. You're already married.
Absolutely.
Let's put in the work. Let's keep it. You know, buy a new suit, do the thing, brush
We
your
have
hair.
some date
Yes.
nights, could we?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now, this leads us very wonderfully onto our love segment. And because I'm looking for a big love. I don't know whether you know this, but I am. So I've been single for a long time,
Okay.
about 6 or 7 years now.
Yes.
People, when I say that, people are like, what the hell is wrong with you?
No.
Nothing, but
you were married. You'd done that thing.
I've done that, and as my good friend Carol Lee says, like, no one does single better than Midge.
Yeah.
And so I agree with that. But I'm feeling like it's my time.
Okay.
I feel
you're
like
ready now.
I'm ready.
You've sown your seeds. Now you're ready.
Big love.
Okay.
Big love coming my way.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm asking my guests, I'm trying to collate this wisdom of, finding love and advice around love. Now you have you're two lawyers.
Yeah.
This lawyer love thing. Should I be going after a lawyer? Is this what I should do? Give me that advice first. What do you think?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I mean,
me and someone in the legal profession.
I mean, to be honest, because of 90% of the lawyers in the legal profession, they're just a little stiff. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you're suited to a lawyer. But and you've got to remember, we've got two lawyers, but yes, we've kind of broken away a little bit from the law, and we're kind of legal rebels. So in some ways, we're attracted to each other on that basis. But I mean,
I could turn someone.
You could
turn a traditional lawyer into a rebel.
Oh,
come join me.
No, yeah, that's a thing.
And
that's a thing.
Build something together.
I think the idea of building something together is the most attractive, exciting way to connect with a partner.
That's what I want. That's what I
and to be really on the same page. So because we were both lawyers and were still even more legally incestuous, we were both insurance lawyers. Albeit I also was in defendant, he was in defendant insurance, and then I crossed over to the dark side, depending on who you ask, into plaintiff. But so very, very similar in terms of our legal experience and now legal recruiters. So our entire skill sets are completely identical.
Wow.
And yet we couldn't be more different. And I thought actually that we were quite similar until the last 12 months I joined sort of a fairly formal networking group that Anthony had been part of for 5 years. And then when I came on, and you sort of present every week, right, about your business, and I was taking over Anthony's seat, and Anthony was starting his own chair in the chapter, and anyway, every meeting I had after that, one-on-one with these members, were like, God, you couldn't be more different to Anthony. So it kind of illuminated our differences, because it's easy on the surface to see how similar we are in criteria. But what I think that's done is, even though we're actually quite different, we have a similar skill set, which means that we don't have that separation between understanding of like what is your work and my work and then our life. It is muddled, because like my husband is my work and my work is my husband, and my children are there and my husband sometimes picks them up and I sometimes picks them up, and it's just kind of this muddled mess of like our life. And you can do that because you have complete detailed understanding of exactly the pressures that are on each other at that time. So there's always a meeting of the minds, and I can just say, oh no, but I'm doing this is what's just happened. So no, you've got the kids, like, and there's just no
complete
question,
understanding.
and vice versa, complete understanding. So I think if you can, I think having something that you could build together, if you've got a common interest,
That's
even if
what I
it's
want.
not, if it's not the work thing, if there's like some kind of side project, a hobby, or something that you guys can build entrepreneurially together.
And we've got that same mindset around that, because sometimes I do go on dates. People have Googled me before the date, and they just have this look of confusion. I don't know what you do. Who are you? What are you? And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why you even came. Like, Or they start to give me advice on my business, which is fantastic on a first date.
Yeah, rude.
I've seen all your videos. I've been on your website, and I think you should do X, Y, Z within the first 20 minutes.
Getcha. Getcha on the flip.
Because that's what I want in a partner, is to be giving me
I
unsolicited
think
advice.
something that I learned from you about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits is seek first to understand, like, fella, back up, if you don't really get the picture until you've kind of been in it. And I think you kind of get to skip that step if you have some kind of really deeply entrenched common ground, and you can be different people. Like, do we really want 2 midges? Like, you're not thinking, every day, all day, maybe not, so
It'd be a lot.
Yeah, it'd be
times
a lot,
2.
right? Yeah. And so I need the calm that is Anthony. And maybe you need a little calm, but someone who really understands what you're doing and what your goals are. And
this is such good advice. I'm loving this. This is definitely going in the dating book.
Okay, good.
Love it. All right, good. We finish each segment with a bit of woo woo. Now I'm not that woo woo. It's I'm not naked dancing on the beach.
Just in coconuts.
Just after a legal
forget
conference.
your audience,
But no, I don't. But I have these little cards and sometimes I give them out to like coaching clients, mentoring clients, whatever. And they're like it's like a fortune cookie without the cookie.
Okay,
So,
great.
yeah. So we have 2. So today's boxes, I have one box which is Carpe Diem and the other box is Dream. Which box would you like to select from for your message from the universe? I know it's
I've just started seeing an energy person. First time ever.
They just
Wasn't
a
really
Reiki
open.
stuff?
Yeah, they did a bit of Reiki.
Okay, yep.
My husband is definitely convinced that it's just like heat and friction and not really much more. But I feel good after it, so that's fine.
Okay, so you're
so
into
I've just
this?
started it. I'm
Okay,
on session 3. Okay,
What are you thinking?
Carpe Diem
or Dream box?
No, Carpe Diem
Carpe
is
Diem.
definitely for me. Yeah,
All
it's
right,
calling
I
my
have to
name.
get this box now. I take out the cards, and then you just feel which card is talking to you. All right.
Okay. I've got the vibes.
Okay. Right. Just what is it? It's like a tarot reading. Okay. Now you have to open the card up.
Oh, I thought this was
I
it.
know, that's what people always think that's it. They go, okay, yeah, it says Carpe Diem. I'm
Yeah,
like, no, you got to open it.
yeah.
It's also a
Oh,
test.
Yep. Never mind.
Right.
We cut that bit. Yeah.
What is the message, Lauren?
Make each day your masterpiece. Just don't turn the whiteboard on the side.
That's right. Absolutely. Love that. Love your masterpiece that you're creating in
Thank
your
you.
life.
Likewise.
Now, how can people find you, connect with you, talk to you, stalk you? Are you TikToking? What are you doing?
Stalk the hell out of us on all of the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Dare_legal_talent, but the home of all legal recruiters and our hub of all of our information and jobs and firms that we're recruiting for, as well as featuring candidates who are in the market. Anonymously, of course, is LinkedIn. So that is the best place to hit me up. But you can connect with me there. Send me an instant message across on LinkedIn is the best way.
Perfect. Well, I will put obviously all of that in the show notes. It is a wrap. A huge thank you to Lauren for being in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Beach here today, and that's the end. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And it's Monday. I'm Midja. And sprinkle that magic all week. All right? Go out there, sprinkle your magic in life, in love, and leadership. And thank God it's Monday. Woo-woo! Woo! Bye, everyone.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Mondays with Midja podcast. Host Midja Fisher is a leadership expert, keynote speaker, coach, and facilitator. To find out more about Midja, visit midja.com.au or follow her on Instagram at Midja Fisher. And make sure you subscribe, share, and leave a review.